Hello and welcome back. So, what are we doing today? We are working on a new project. So, some of you may know already, but I've been working on a Laravel API course recently. I was in Croatia last week so that I could get all the recording done. And what we're doing now is we're going to build the platform which you can use to watch the video course. So we're going to create a new Laravel project using Breeze, and we're actually going to use Vue and Inertia with TypeScript and Pest. So let's get that creating all of its magic, and let's have some fun. So let's open up some PHP Storm and see what magic we can do. Right, new project, come down to herd, lots of stuff. I really need to clean this Mac out a little bit. So there's that. That's going to start creating in the background while that does its business. It's SQLite. Yes, run that. That's fine. It's all good. Oh, how are you all? How is everybody doing? That's being created. No dependencies and all that rubbish. So let's just go over here and start work. So what do we want to do? Well, first off, we want to make sure that we're formatting code correctly. So we can say JSON. We're going to have a little bit of TypeScript, tiny bit of JavaScript, some CSS, and some Vue components. So I can make sure that they're all indented to 2. Come over to here, and let's just reformat that. And what we're also going to do is say detect TLS as true. So if I come over to herd, come over to my sites, and come down to learn. My God, look how many sites I've got. I really should kill some of these. Here we go. This one here, and this one is going to be that should be SSL now. Let's go make sure warp has finished. That has done its business. Perfect. And what I want to do quickly is say, let's remove that package lock and node modules, and we're going to use PNPM. A little bit nicer to use, so we're going to stick with that. So that's PNPM doing its magic, and now we are pretty much good to go. So if I come to my browser, we're going to open up learn.test. That is secured. So let's give ourselves something to work with. So the whole point of this is to give you a way to log in, track your progress, all that magic. And if I open up my Todoist quickly, because that's kind of what I'm sticking with for now until I find a better alternative, you'll see all of the millions of tasks that I don't do. Nothing in there. What we want is this. So we're going to have authentication, a course catalog, course enrollment, and progress tracking. They are the main things that we want to care about here. So let's come back over to our code. That is all done. So we can just run dev on that one. And we're going to call this one Vite. And then over here, I'm going to have Artisan running as well. Let's stick that on the left. Stick this on the right. And is that view okay for you guys? Let me know. And what we want in our database is to just kind of do some cleanup quickly. So what I usually do here is say, go back a level, and we're going to go to which one? That one. And we're going to say copy the pint configuration over, and we're going to copy that PHP stan configuration over. Then we're going to compose a require, all of that stuff, and start work on the code. Right, we'll full screen it. Full screen is better. Right, clear all this up, then we can fix a whole file, clean that, clean this, and that as well. First things first, we're going to add ULIDs there, and let's move this because I'm supercalifragilisticpicky. Right, table soft deletes. Fantastic, fantastic. For an ID down here will be a ULID. We're going to index it, constrain it to that users table, and we will cascade on delete. That is all that part done. Don't need to do anything with the cache table other than clear up the migration file, make it a little bit more presentable. And then same thing with the jobs table as well. The usual Steve approach of if you open a file, you better leave it better than how you found it. Right, so that's all of that done. Come over to our factories and let's start working on this. So I'm going to remove that full screen and put this over here so I can still see the chat. Here we go. Hey, Daryl, how you all doing? Right, let's remove all of that and that and that. Now, first thing first, clean it out and say what model we are going to be using. That user model. This will be a class string with a generic type of model. And then this will return an array of string and mixed, allowing me to then say this way, this baker. Hey, Ludovic, how are you doing, my friend? I hope you are well. What tools am I using for pushing Windows left, right? Oh, that's literally Raycast. Like if I, let me open Raycast. This is Raycast, it's great, it's really useful. I can say, move it to the top, move it to the left, toggle it full screen, remove the full screen, center 2/3. Yeah, there's lots you can do. How many requests per second can your application at final stage? So that really depends. Like if I'm going to host this, I'll probably host it on something like Vapor, most likely. So that's going to be handling, I don't know, maybe 16,000 requests a second is on average, I believe, is the figures. There is that bit's all done. That's all cleaned. Now we can come over to here and say, fix all that. Drop that and just implement must verify email. Add in that has ULIDs as well as the soft deletes. Then we can start to clean all of this up and work from there. So there's our remember token, and then we need that email verified at in there also. Oh yeah, this will be most likely Franken PHP, if I'm honest, because I think it's a little bit faster than Roadrunner. And you get the benefit of having Caddy in there and lots of extra tools that are pretty darn awesome, to be honest. Right, what am I doing? Just type, Steve, type. You've only been away for a week. Like that is all of that. That is all that working. Everything is good. So at this point, a user can sign up. So we will migrate, fresh, reset all of those. And what we want to do here is, because we're using inertia for this one, let's go ahead and clean some of this up here. Don't need that, don't need that. We want to add a class here of h-full, and we're going to say that the background is slate 50, but in dark mode, it'll be slate 900. They're my default kind of go-tos. We'll stick with the fig tree font for now. I don't see a big problem with that. Also going to set the body to be height full. The text is going to be slate 900, but in dark mode, this will be text slate 50. Anti-aliased, font sans, all the other good stuff's in there. I can't see anything else that I might need to do. So perfect. That is that main template done. Is there another framework you enjoy besides Laravel? Yes. In PHP, I quite like to use Framework X. API platform, Slim PHP, we'll do in a pinch. Outside of Laravel, there's Nuxt, I use a lot. I use Ascro for websites generally. If I'm building something in Go, there's this really cool Go framework here, which is just absolutely fantastic. You can tell they used a Tailwind UI template, right? Any insider information about API platform on Laravel? Well, I mean, I don't want to give too much away about API platform right now, but it's not my news to share, but it's awesome. Let me just put it that way. Spiral framework. I have tried the Spiral framework and it was okay, but it took too much it was just too much work for me, to be honest. It felt anti-intuitive almost for some of it. I think once you get into that workflow, it's not so bad, but you've got to find your workflow in that framework first. A quick drink of Gatorade and let's keep going. So what you'll notice is, with this being kind of Vue.js TypeScripty magic, it's good. It's not my usual approach, but it's not a bad approach, if you know what I mean. This isn't how I'd usually build an app. I'd usually go straight for Livewire, but I'm thinking it'll be fun to do some Vue.js for this one and see what else we can do. Oh yeah, if you're building an MVP, Laravel is your go-to. And then if you build your MVP in the right way, you don't have to rebuild it. You just have to kind of amend and improve upon it. So what we got so far is this user interface up here, and then we push that into auth down there, and it's all good, but it's a bit rubbish. So I'm going to make it a little bit better by saying, let's make a resource for a user resource like this. So let's open up this user resource. We want to just clean this up a little bit like that. And then down here, we're going to return an array of string and mixed for now. Then what do we need from our user? Well, we're going to want the ID. So we can say this resource ID. Before we do that, we want to say that the property user is for the resource. That'll stop so many squiggles. Alongside the ID, we're going to want that user's name. So we can say this resource name. Name. We're going to want the email. So this resource and email. Then I'm going to add this verified part in here. which will just be an array for now, and we'll have like a date, and we're going to say this resource email verified at, and the verified check will be this resource email verified at does not equal null, I think. Maybe. We'll check. Let's just fix up that file. So here we've got this user resource, and it's going to run through and it's going to say, okay, so verified date and verified check. Just a bit of a kind of more of a fluid way to write it. So if this is not null, then it will return true. I think I've got that the right way around. Can't remember. Let's just go back to the code and we'll worry about that. I really need more coffee in me. Right, so let's just fix up that file and here. So what we want to do is we're going to inject into the constructor the auth manager. So let's say private read-only auth manager auth, because we're going to want to be able to access auth. So over here, we can say this auth check. If we do have an authenticated user, then what we want to do is say new user resource or null. So then the resource for this is this auth user. We can drop that down and all is good. Let me just fix that up. All looking good. All good so far. So now if we come back to this index, this is going to be incorrect. So I'm going to delete that and we're going to say export type user resource like this. We're going to have an ID as string, have a name as string. We're also including that email. Then we're going to have the verified, which we will also create. Export type verified check, which will have a date and a check. So date is possibly nullable, and this will be a string coming back, and then the check will be a Boolean. So down here, we can then say verified check, and then this will be potentially a user resource there. Yeah, like I've built so many Laravel applications that are like go beyond MVP, and they're still running today. So there is all of that. If we come over to here, what we want to do is let's register. So let's just add all of our details into this. Register. No. Let's come over to Herd, check our mails. So that's not it there. Just delete that, delete that. We're going to grab that and we will migrate fresh quickly and just come over to our env and change this email stuff. Email, that bit. Right, so at the minute that's just using log, but we want it to use that. From name, blah, blah, blah. App URL, we are HTTPS, and what we're going to do is go to learn.test, and this will just be, I'm going to call it learn for now. It hasn't got a real name yet, so learn will do. Oh man, Rails. I tried Rails for such a long time and just could not get on with it. I could get it working, but it came to deployment and I just struggled. Like hello at learn.test. That'll do. That's all that. That's all that. Let's just go to register. We'll register again. So let's say that one, and then we're going to use password. Register. So now if I come to mails, ta-da, we have got it. Yeah, no, I never tried Elixir, if I'm honest. I was tempted, but it just felt too much like Python, and I don't like Python. Right, verify our email, and we have now verified our email using Laravel Herd. It just works. So now I've come to my profile, all is good. That's not loading for some reason, probably due to how I've formatted stuff, but oopsie. But we've logged in. We've created an account. No, not doing Superbase Auth on this one. That's a different project that I'm going to be working on. This is something for work. So I'm not sure if you saw, where is it? Can I come to Twitter over here? Here we go. Here we go. There was a video. So welcome to the Building APIs in Laravel video course. Ooh, saucy. I'm going to drop that link. I probably shouldn't be sharing it because it's unlisted for review, but go check it out. Let me know what you think. Get some feedback on the editing and, you know, we'll improve upon it and see where we get to. But anyway, there's that. Go check it out. It's in the comments. Pause the video if you're not watching this live. But that's the course that this is going to be for. So we want to be able to kind of do stuff. So if we just open up Todoist again, what we've got is authentication. Well, that's pretty much done now, right? We've done the authentication because we're using Laravel Breeze. So now we need to look at this course catalog. So we need to make a model. Let me just make sure I can still see you there and come back to there. And now we'll say we're going to make a model. Yeah. And this model is going to be just course. And we will create a factory. And you'll create some form requests, the migration, the policy, don't want a resource controller, and that's it. So there we go. Ta-da! We are done. No, we're not. Nowhere near. All right, let's go this course. So what's going to be useful to know about a kind of a video course from a database perspective? So we're going to have a ULID for the ID, find the key, and this is going to be a foreign ULID because it's kind of owned by a user. And we're going to index that, constrain it, and cascade it. And we're going to make sure that that is constrained to the user's table by default. So each course has a kind of a name or a title, like a course name, course title. I'm going to stick with title. Then we're going to say also has a description, not nullable, but we are going to constrain that to 160 characters. We want that to be, you know, relatively good. Next up, we're going to say table string. We're going to add image, but we are going to make this nullable. So that's going to be like that featured image. So marketing pages stuff. And then we're going to have a text column for overview. And this can be nullable to start with. Now, courses as they're being built aren't going to be live straight away. So we're going to want some sort of kind of status. So we're going to create an enum for a status, and we're going to have something that I work through. So it can be a draft course. a live course, and an archived course. So they're like the three main stages. So up here, we're going to say table string. The status is going to be defaulted to status draft value. Make sure that's set on the database level so that it's a little bit easier. Hello, Mohammed. So we've got a title, a description, a status, an image, and an overview, as well as like the user. Yeah, I think that's probably enough for now. Come back to it if we need to. So come over to this course factory, and what we can do is just fake some of this data out. So our model for this will be a course. Then up here, we're going to say this is a class string, generic type of model, and then this will return an array of string next. So the course title will just be a random sentence. So this faker sentence. The description will be, we're going to use real, I prefer to use real text, but we do want to set that max non-breakable characters as 160. Then an image is going to be an image URL. We want a status, so let's just say status, and we're going to, for now, just say status draft. Then final overview. So real text, but the max characters is going to be a number between int1 of 1000 and int2 of 3000. And then finally, that user ID. So that user ID is like, who is the author of the course, basically. Just to add a little bit of kind of personality to it. So user, all that good stuff. Perfect. So this can't use has ULIDs. Let's start the fillable content. And what we want is int string array. This will be open source, I believe. Title, description, status, image, overview, user ID. Gonna have to cast a couple of things. So the status is going to be a status class. This will be an array. And then this can return an array of string class string. Oh, we're getting there. So public function, we're going to say about the author of the course. So this belongs to, I'm going to say return this belongs to related user, and the foreign key is user ID. Then over here, we can say this will return belongs to user. Come over to a user and say that this user has many courses. So public function courses have many. Return this has many. Related is a course, and the foreign key is a user ID. So we can say that this return has many course, like this. Yeah, I mean, the unique ID, I'm going to kind of come back to that. Maybe something like a hash ID would be better. I'm going to start with a UL ID and then kind of reapproach that once I start working on more parts of it. Let's just migrate that data now. Courses table is up. Let's come to the database seeder, because what I'm going to want to do is kind of have a default of how this is going to be set up. So this specific user shall be me. This is me, Mr. Test User. And steve@gmail.com. And then we're going to create our first course. So we can say course factory for user as the author. And then we're going to create it. So the title of the course is going to be Building APIs in Laravel. The description is going to be learn how to build APIs in Laravel with Steve. All the other stuff I think we could probably just leave for now, other than status. We're going to want to add a status. No, we'll keep it in drafts. It's all good. It's all good. Overview, not too bothered about right away. We'll come back to that bit. So we're going to have a user and a course straight out of the box. So we can migrate fresh and seed. If I come to here, I should now be able to log in. Don't save it. So there we go. So now that part is done, we want to make a resource for the course. The course resource over here. And let's just fix that up. And we want to say that the property, course, and resource, then we will return an array of string mixed. And then we've got an ID for the course. So this resource ID, title, this resource title, description, this resource description, and the image just because. What other bits might we want on a course from a course? Oh yeah, we'll probably want the overview. And we'll add the author. So new user resource. And the resource is going to be this when loaded. And the relationship is author. There we go. That will cover pretty much most of what I need for now, at least to get started. So I can come back to my view aspect and say that a new type has been created. Come up to the top and say export type for course resource. Got a string, got a title, got a description. We've got an image. Got an overview, which is nullable string. And then we've got the author, which is nullable, but could be a user resource. But before we do too much, we want to come to our app stuff and say that the JSON resource without wrapping, we're also going to say model should be strict. There we go. Bing, bang, boom. So what we're going to want here is once someone logs in, they kind of come to this learning dashboard here. So we need to give them a way to get to it. So controllers, profiles, blah, 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 blah. We're going to create a new dashboard controller. I'm going to move this out of the roots file just to make it a little bit easier to maintain in the long run. So we've got this dashboard controller. And what we need it to do is have a invoke method. It's going to receive a request, and it's going to return an inertia response. Now, the way I like to do this is to create a concerns, and we will create a new has inertia just has inertia will probably do there. So we can then come up here, say public function construct, and we're going to have a protected response factory from inertia as the factory. Then over here, we can say use as inertia, and we can say return this factory render. The component that we want to render is just called dashboard, and the props we're going to pass down are going to be within here. So we want to say that all of the courses basically. So course query get. That'll do for now. That'll kind of get us where we want. So that in our web routes, we can replace this part with a dashboard controller. Hopefully it shouldn't change too much. All good so far. I'm not going to worry about code styling on that one because I'll group it later. But that will give us all of that. But we need this to actually be inside something. So course resource collection, where the resource is that. There we go. We got there. So if we come over to our dashboard view down here inside pages and dashboard, you'll see that currently we've got no props, and that's fine. But we want to have props, right? We're passing props down. We want them to be accessible, but we want them to be typed. So courses is going to be course resource as an array. That is kind of what I'm going for here. Have I got view thingy installed? Extensions, add extension. Let's look for the view extension. Vue.js, Vue DevTools, add to Chrome, add the extension. SQIDs. I've not really played with SQIDs. I can't really say that I've heard of them. Refresh that, inspect it again, and hopefully now we should have view. So we're going to take view and put it next to our console there. Dashboard, we're at courses, and we've got one, which is a reactive thing. So there we go. That is all loading in. And what we can also do is say with the author, and that will just be loaded into here. So here's our course, author, fantastic. We've got all the information that we're going to want. YouTube-like IDs. So that's a SQL or SQID. No. Let's look at them in PHP. Short unique IDs. Oh, nice. Okay. Is there a Laravel approach in here yet? Or does that still need to be created? Okay, someone's talking about it. I might have to look and apply at some point. That can just be quiet. Right, so our view component is loading. So one thing I want to make sure that we do, and I don't know if anyone else has ever kind of played with this, but shadcn. Shadcn? I always call it shadcdn. So it's nice, right? It just works. And you can install it in Laravel, especially if you're using Vue as well. You just have to use a shadcn Vue instead of shadcn. So you can copy this and drop that bad boy in there and just wait for it to run. Would you like to use TypeScript? Yep. I'm using Laravel. And I'm going to use a New York style. I don't really know what the difference is. I'm going to go for Slate. Yes, that's the default path. That is that bit. Yes, I want CSS variables. That's where that is. There is for components. That's fine. We'll do that as well. And that all looks good. This will do lots of fun stuff for me. There we go. And then what I'll do over here is just cancel that and rerun it and see what happens. So far, so good. So now if we come over to here, currently you'll see that it is stuck on light mode because it uses class-based light dark mode, which is fine for me. It's how I want it to work for now. But what it means that I'm able to do is look at things like these examples. I can just grab something from here and just work with it. Come over to the blocks. There's all of these different things that you can do. Like this, for example. This is like a perfect little dashboard for a learning application in my eyes. And obviously, depending on what you want to do, depends what you need, blah, blah, blah. But it looks good, right? It works. These are fine, but I don't know if that would work. Whether something like this would be better, but that's not collapsible. So maybe this one. We're going to go for this one. This big old beast here. So what you can do is we want that in the New York style. Not that I can tell the difference, but we can actually just copy the code for that, come over to here and say, okay, let's come and go to our layouts. And we're going to create one called dashboard layout or something. Pop it in there. There we go. That's got all of that magic in there. Don't have to worry about it. It's going to have all of that sort of stuff. So let's come and start working on this together. So we're just going to install some icons. That'll do its business. That'll get that in there. Let's come and make sure all of these are fine. I'm going to rename this. Where am I? Refactor, rename. It's falling over on me. Rename, components. FrankenPHP and Livewire. Now that's pretty cool, actually. FrankenPHP is so fast, and if you're using Livewire with Wire Navigate, my God, it's wonderful. So there's all of that bit. This should all be fine. That's not using anything super. This dashboard layout. Now we just need to get all of these things installed. So how can we get these installed? NPX is the answer. Not that one. No, that's lots of stuff. Here we go. We're going to add the button. We know we're going to need a button at some point in our life. Let's just work our way up the list. So we're also going to want the checkbox. Let's make sure they are installing. So if we come down to our components, we should now see these starting to appear within there. So that is the checkbox installed. Now we're going to want the tooltip. Then we're going to want the tabs, the table. We're also going to want that separator. Progress. Pagination. Apparently something called a sheet. Breadcrumb. Input. We're going to want a drop-down menu. So there's a drop-down menu. It'd be nice if I could like chain these. Last time I tried to chain them, they all just failed. Pull in the card as well. And then it's just that Lucid React stuff. Right, so now let's run that again. And inside of our dashboard page here, we are going to use that dashboard layout. Dashboard layout. I'm going to copy that, drop that in there, and we're just going to replace that and see what happens when we come over to here. Layouts, dashboard layout. But why? Why are you not loading? Run it again. Ooh, failed to import components UI badge. Ooh, okay. So over here, what we want is that badge, which apparently I didn't install. Just close all of those down and run it again. Still failed. Oh, wait, and I think I deleted something in that. Yeah, I did. Shouldn't have done. Oops. Try again. So we're getting an error. Tooltip provider context not found. So the tooltips are always a bit of a problem. Compact mode. Ooh. Oh, that's nice. That is a good looking IDE. Right, so there's that dashboard stuff. Tooltips. Tooltip there. So tooltips, lots of tooltips. Let's just remove all of those for now and see what it gives us. Oh, that's going to suck, isn't it? That's going to look really bad. Okay. So we want something without tooltips. That's probably going to have tooltips as well. Oh. So does that. Why do they all have to have tooltips? So let's go for this. This will look reasonable, right? Let's see if we're missing any installs. Yes, one thing, which is the avatar. Now, if you want something similar to Shad CN, you can actually use Dev Dojo's Pines, which is kind of similar. It's not quite as full, doesn't have as much, but it is close as you can get for kind of a tool stack. And it matches to an extent. Yeah, Tailwind UI is nice, and I do use Tailwind UI, but kind of this just works a little bit better for this sort of application. It's all well-tested stuff. So now that we've got this up and running, we've got the dashboard in there and we can see some stuff. And if we make it a bit smaller, we got a menu and it's all good. It means I don't have to worry about UI much. that's the main thing, is that I don't have to worry about the UI. So now I can start to work on the content. Yeah, Tailwind UI is paid, whereas this isn't. That's one of the benefits. So there's a header. Here's the main content with a grid in it, another grid. And what I'm going to do is probably just grab all of that and turn that into a slot. There we go. You are logged in. We're now back to the Laravel code that we started with, other than styling's a bit wonky donkey. But we can fix that. I believe there is a color mode switcher component. So here's a switch. Boop, boop. I don't know. This auto form sounded interesting, but I'm not really sure what I can do with it yet. And obviously there's charts. Let's start with just card, a standard card that we can use to display stuff. So here's some different cards, and I'm probably going to want something flat and simple and flat, like this one. This is the sort of card that I need. So if I view the code, I'm going to look for something with that. So if I come to here, this is going to open it up in here. I can then go, not in there, example components. And that is for the repo of some description. So GitHub card. I'm assuming this is it. Yes, it is. So if I just kind of grab that whole thing, I can then work with it from there. So let's go and create a new component for like a course card or something. And it looks like I'm not using any of the table components right now, or any of these card bits in there. Badge or the avatar, and we'll delete some of these things as well. Let's make sure we clean up after ourselves. Otherwise, before you know it, you've just got some really nasty code. Yeah, it's so div heavy, isn't it? It was like there's no semantics to the HTML. Okay, so now I'm going to say courses in there. And then within there, we can do something like I'm going to create an index.ts, but we're also going to have a card.u like that. We just need to make sure we fix all of these icons. Don't want to worry about any of that. This can be components UI button, components card, the drop down, and separator. It's just these icons up here. So maybe we can see if there's any up here. So we want a chevron down icon. We want a circle icon, a plus icon, and a star icon. Which means we can remove all of those. And we're looking good. Oh, view tools. I haven't actually installed any view tools on this. Oh, I've got that. I've got view installed, but that's about it. There's lots I could do with my ID that I just don't. Okay, so let's come over to our page again. And what we want to do here is, now that we've got these kind of props coming in, this dashboard layout, we've got a header, we've got all sorts of crap in there. What we want is just to remove that. And we are going to come back to, where were we looking? We were looking at one of these. Which one was it? This one. So we want something like this. These 1, 2, and 3 at the top. That means we've got all of these tooltips. Got the aside, dashboard orders, all of that's already in there. There's a breadcrumb, not interested in. This grid, we want something like this. Then we're going to want the card. So we'll grab that first card and we're just going to drop that into the content there. So this card can then be removed afterwards. Like that. Now let's see, that will obviously fail. But what we want to do is pull in the import card from components courses. We want that one. Ooh. So import default as card from card view, and then we will export that again. Like that. Hopefully that does that bit. That resolves that. Then this card I can remove that header, all of that footer rubbish, and we can just make it a inline component like that. So then if we come to here, we've got that in there and it looks good. Oh. So what we want is this card. It wants to be passed a prop. There's a class business for now. And what we're going to want to do is say that the course is going to be the course that we pass in eventually. So over here, we want to say that const props is define props and the props that we're going to want is the course is going to be a course resource. Now I can come back to here. We can do a v4 course in props.courses, drop the key as the course ID, and then that will load into there. Fantastic. Yeah, this is view 3. It's quite nice actually. If you're used to view, it's fantastic. Course card. So then what we want to do is have like up here, we're going to have that course title. I'm going to put this next to each other so you can see it there. And this bit here is going to say course.description. Star there. I don't really want stars. what we are going to want is perhaps an overview. No, author, if the authors exists. Okay, let's come back to the other parts on that component. If the ID is numeric, then you won't have a unique key if there's another loop on the page. Yes, it's using the UL ID, so it will be unique, which should resolve that problem. Now, that's got all of that stuff. So what we're going to probably do here is, instead of saying star, it'll be like enrolling, basically. So instead of that, it'll be these will be links to enroll on the course, basically. I'll come back to finish that off later. So what we've got is all of the courses being listed. That's a course catalog, course enrollment. So you want to be able to enroll onto a course. So next up, we need to make a new model. So we're going to make a model and we're going to call it an enrollment. We're going to make a factory, form requests, migration policy, and that is it. So this is basically just linking things together now. So in our database, we can come to our migrations for enrollments. We want to know that this user has enrolled on a said course. So UL ID, ID, primary, table. What I'm probably going to do here is do like an unsigned integer for progress, defaulting to 0, and make that kind of projectable in some way. And then we are going to say that foreign UL ID for the course index constrained to courses and cascade, then table, another foreign UL ID for the user ID, index constrained to users, and cascade. Yeah, progress will be like a kind of a calculated percentage. When you finish a course or when you finish an episode or something within a course, then it will recalculate the progress as part of an event handler, basically. So we've got a user, a course, and the progress, which will update the updated app. The created app will be when you enrolled. And that's it, I think. I can't think of anything else. Inside integer. Ooh. Auto increment is false. Can I... If I do an integer, I can do column auto increment and unsigned in there. Now I'm going to keep to that as it is. There's got to be a nicer way to do that. Unsigned tiny int, 1 byte column, small int, 2 bytes, medium int. Maybe a medium int will be fine. So now let's come to our factory and we want to do some enrollments. So we can do that. We can say that the model is going to be the enrollment. We want to make sure that we add in that class string generic type of model. And down here, we can say that this will return an array of string and mixed. So progress will be this Baker. We're going to go for that number between again, but this time we only need to set the int2 to 100. So then we can have the course ID as the course factory and the user ID as that user factory. That is all of that part done. Come over to the enrollment, and we will reassess the ULID situation a little bit later. For now, I think ULIDs will work for what I need them to. And we'll kind of figure that one out. And we've got course ID and then user ID. Tiny int should be fine. Even better. This is why we like cat. Cat knows all. Because it's kind of like going to go from 1 to 100 of some description. It's going to calculate a percentage and store it as an integer value. So our enrollment is then done. What we want to make sure we've got a cast for that progress. And we're going to use that as an integer. Then we can say that the public function course belongs to a course. Return this belongs to the related course. Foreign key is course ID. Return a belongs to course. Let's make sure we're returning an array there. And we're returning an array of string and string there. Now we can add that user. So public function user belongs to return this belongs to user class user ID. So come to a course and we can say public function moments. Someone who's well versed in PHP. So yeah, I use PHP Stan so heavily. It's awesome. I absolutely love PHP Stan. It is definitely the coolest dev tool that I use. So that has many enrollments. Now it complains about the generic type there, but if we come to PHP Stan.neon, it shouldn't be checking it. Let me remove those. Maybe I can add like template tags somewhere to resolve that a little bit later, but I won't worry yet. And down here, instead of enrollments, we're going to call it enrolled or something. So public function, actually, no, we'll just call it enrollments. Ooh. Have many. So the complaint is about generic types. So PHP Stan return contains generic type has many, but class has many is not generic. Now, I could be super picky and just say that this is actually a collection, but it's not actually returning a collection. It's returning a has many, which is seen as a collection when iterated with. The property is, the magic property will be a collection, but the method is not. So it's a little bit messy. And the Larastan, I don't usually use Larastan, but maybe I should. Or maybe I'll just learn how to do it and add my own rule. Entity enrollment. So that is all of that. That is all of that. User, blah, 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 blah. So now we can migrate. So enrollment, the user is going to need to know them. So we can make a resource for enrollment resource. Let's just go have a look at Larastan. Okay, so it's doing some stuff. Let's install it. I haven't installed it for such a long time. So let's get that installed, and then we just need to tell PHP Stan about it. There we go. So hopefully, there we go. It's quieting down. Fantastic. Good shout. Good shout. Unused enrollments, not a big deal. Close all of those. So what we've got now is this kind of enrollment resource over here. And we'll work on the policies later. It's not something that we need to worry about this very second. Then this is going to have a property of enrollment for that resource. Then this is going to return an array of string and mixed. So we want to know the progress of the enrollment as well as the course. So progress, this resource progress, and we're just going to say that the course is this resource course ID. I don't want to include that relationship. I just want that identifier. That'll do all of that. That'll do this and that and that and this. Perfect. So far, so good. Index types. So now we're going to want a export type for that enrollment resource. So we're going to have, I guess we need that ID to come down in case we need to do any editing stuff. So we're going to have this ID as a string, progress as a number, and then course as a string. I'm not going to include the user, but that should be good. So what we want next is that's enrolling on a course. So we kind of want to be able to enroll on a course. So far, we've not enrolled on anything, and that's absolutely fine. But we will want a button to say we're doing it. So we're going to want a controller. And we're going to say maybe inside courses, and we're going to no, we'll make an enrollments in there, and we're going to go ahead and say store controller. So inside the store controller, so public function invoke, this will get a request. And the request is going to do something in there. So we're going to want a form request of some description. Requests. PHP artisan make a request enrollment store request. So this is going to be that store request in there. Which means we can remove that. Can I have a look at this? We're going to ignore that part, and we're going to do this. And what this needs is it needs a course, and this is required. And it should be a rule exists courses ID. That will allow me to do that. So you can only enroll onto courses that you are allowed to. So let me look at policies now. So enrollment policy. Let's fix that up and just delete some of these here. delete. Oops, deletes. Right, restore and force delete. Well, they're not soft deleted, so they're not a big deal. But view any. You can only view your resource, your return user has verified email. And that is going to be that one too. Then over here, we want to do, we must have a verified email and the enrollment user ID must be the same as that user ID. So that can also be copied down to here and here. So you can only delete your remove yourself from an enrollment if you own it, but also if you verified your email. Same with updates, same with viewing a specific one. You can only create or view them if you verified your email as well. So that is all of that. So over here, we can say if gate allows to create the enrollment class, then abort 403. You're not allowed to do that, basically. You may have passed validation, but you've not passed everything. Do not pass go. Okay, so then what we want is to be able to get that authenticated user. So I'm going to pull in that private read-only auth manager as auth, allowing me to come down here and say this auth user enrollment create. And this will need progress of 0 and the course ID of request string course to string. For now, that'll do. And then we're going to return a new redirect response. And the URL is going to be the root for dashboard. This will be a response coming back, and that should be good. Now, if we open up that web, we can add a post request somewhere. So I'll clean this up a little bit better soon, but for now, I'm just going to say root middleware auth sanctum and verified. Let's just drop all of that rubbish off and say that we are going to group everything within here that we start working on next. So we're going to add a prefix of enrollments as enrollments group. We're going to do a post to their name store, and this will be that door controller there. So maybe what we can do is like that star button there. What we could do is make that into a enroll on this course, and it'll enroll and it will kind of look like it's enrolled or something. Okay, so that bit's done, that bit's done, that's done, and so is that. So now on this card over in our components, what we are going to want is we want to get page 2. So we can say const page is going to be use page, like that. So that handles inertia requests. That's currently using that user resource. And what we'll add is enrollments into this by default. So we can say this. Oh, no, we can't say that. We can say this or no, wrong thing. That's in handles inertia. So enrollment resource collection. And inside this, the resource is going to be this resource enrollments. I'm just going to add that in straight away. So that in this part here, we're going to get it by default. It could be empty, it could not, but over here we need enrollment resource there. So that this, if we inspect and come over to our view here, dashboard, auth user, enrollments, currently empty. Awesome. So we are starting to build out this massive behemoth of something called TypeScript. And it does work. It's a little bit kind of messy for my liking. I feel like I'd be a lot cleaner if I was doing this in Livewire, but I think there's going to be benefits to doing it this way. Use resource, there's a card, blah, blah, blah. So down here, this button, what we're going to want to do is have a template that wraps it. And what it will do is it will have a if page props auth user .id. No. I need to do like an array contains. Enrollments .includes page props auth user .id. And we can add a else template v else. And what we can do is turn that into enroll on this course. You are enrolled. Just something really simple like that. I mean, that's going to look ugly as anything, but we'll worry about that in a little bit. So we want to be able to enroll on the course or not enroll on the course, basically. This will then be, I believe you can do like disabled. How does it look? So disabled. Awesome. And what we can do is variant. Let's see what happens if we say ghost. Primary. No, but disabled is kind of overtaking that, I believe. Oh, wait a minute. It's down here. Oops. Let's say ghost. Reasonable. Let's remove that and see what it looks like. Variant needs to be, let's have a look at outline. That looks a bit better. That definitely looks a bit better. Then we want that separated. We don't want the drop-down menu. I don't want a drop-down menu right now. I'll set that as default and disabled. Could be a nicer way to do that, but I believe you can do something like const user is Can you do like await page props auth.user like that? Yeah, I can. So I can just say user.enrollment and user.id. That kind of cleans up the template a little bit nicer to work with. So titles are all good. All of that's good. Lots of spacings, all looking good. Enroll in the course. You're already enrolled. Some information here, suggested links, future ideas. So we don't really want any checkbox stuff, but it might be better as computed. So const user is computed. Let's just page.props auth.user, and let's just make sure we return that. Maybe we can use page like that. I suppose you could do it is enrolled. Okay, so const is enrolled is a computed property, which can be a little bit more asynchronous. It can be return page props auth.user enrollments includes page props auth user ID. Aha. Is this just like a wait? Yeah, there we go. If is enrolled, you are enrolled. That feels like it's failing. Use page. No, disabled spelled correctly. Oh, wait. Disabled. Thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. You are enrolled. So that should not be returning that at all. Because I'm not enrolled on anything. Maybe it's because I'm trying to do everything asynchronously. Enroll on this course, yeah. So because I'm trying to do it asynchronously, it's being a bit funky dunky. Yeah, never mind. So this can then be props.course.title, props.course, blah, 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 lots of stuff. All that other stuff, not super useful right now. And yeah, okay, perfect. So there's a card. We can see whether it's enrolled or not. Const user, auth page user. But I don't need user that much, right? Const user equals use page dot auth dot user. And we can swap this to be that and that. There we go. Oh, inside. Aha. Okay, so there's that. And what I can probably do is say page props auth user, like that. Then we can say that this is going to be a user resource. No, I'm just starting to be a little bit too silly with that. Okay, so that should be fine. Enroll on this course because we haven't enrolled on it. I'm not seeing any big deal going on with it yet, so that is fine. Then what we want is we want this, we want an action. So we're going to have like enroll is going to be this async function that will do something. So we need like inertia forms at this point, right? Inertia JS forms. Const props equals use pay. Oh, I've already got props. I don't know. This is all stuff that's going a little bit beyond me. Right, where's the inertia stuff? Reactive, inertia post, server side, form helper. That's what I want. I want the form helper. So let's just go ahead and grab that. And this component here, I don't think, I do. I've got use page. So I think I can say something like use form as well. And then I can say const form is use form. So let's say const form is use form. And the data within this form is just going to be the course. And that's all it needs. Let's go check that store request. And that's literally all it needs. So now we just need to do a submit thing. So form.submit for the enroll. So I feel like I'm just making lots of variables that could be better. How about this is then await form.submit. And this is going to go to enrollments of that post. Yeah. And you can do like some form of thing there. Options on finish. I don't know. Console.log. Hi. But we'll do that for now. Enroll on this course. So this button, variant class, blah, blah, blah. Can we do like a what happens if I do that? Let's go have a look, see if it's dying on me or not. Array to string conversion. How very dare you? That is coming from somewhere. Where could that be coming from? Nothing there. These are the only things I've changed. Am I getting an error in Vite? No. I'm not seeing anything that I've created causing the issue here. Lots of Illuminati. If you spot the error, shout it out because I am absolutely blind to this sometimes. Lots of Illuminate stuff, nothing that I am doing. That's absolutely fine. We're getting that back. That shouldn't be an issue. So I'm assuming it's something to do with that, maybe. Yeah, it's something to do with that. Okay, so submit post. What we want to do is take this URL here and maybe say route to, and we are going to say enrollments.store. We've still got an array to string conversion going on, but I don't know why. Let's drop all of that off a second. Maybe it is that. Why are you doing this to me? Okay, can't submit. Oh, wait. So let's come to here, check on our network. What happens if I click on it? Nothing's happening. Damn it. Okay, so submit on click. Let's just add a app click, see if that's no. Okay, so maybe we need to come ahead and look at the buttons. Maybe you're missing, I could be. We want to come down to buttons. I don't want icons. You can do it like as a link. Is it because it's not actually wrapped in a form element, maybe? Okay, so you can do like an as child. I don't know what the as child does, but we say as child, then within here, we can say form. Yeah, so submit is up here. I suppose it's just that. So maybe that needs to be a closure like that. Nope. That ain't it. Grab that, replace that, and say ooh, something happened. So we are sending it off and we're getting that redirect. So let's come back to here, into dashboards, user. I've now enrolled on it 5 times. So we need some prevention against that. Yeah, page users not being updated. So I need to, oh, look at that part. Jesus. Okay, so first off, let's go to the create enrollments table and make sure that we add that table unique for course ID and user ID. We're going to want that in there, definitely. Then once this submits, we can pass it some options. I'm not really sure what options are available. So let's go and have a look at this. Form helper. Get all of those. So preserve scroll unsuccess. So method data replace preserve scroll only headers. What can we do on success? Method data browser history. I kind of want to refresh, like on finish, right? So on success, we basically want to kind of get the page props back again. Inertia should refresh the page itself. Okay, so if it is, then this computed property needs to basically just refetch, maybe? Oh, this is why I don't like TypeScript. There's too many different things that are dynamically just messing it all up. Yo, so that needs to change, basically. So auth user enrollments, course. Okay, so it's not going to have the user ID in enrollment because it's not actually passed through to the enrollment. So what we need to do is go to that enrollment resource and pass through that user this resource user ID. Come back to the index and make sure that the enrollment has also got user on it, because then, oh dear. Okay, so I've got the request there. I don't want to make a query within there. That's just going to start getting messy. Not 100% sure what's going to be best there. I might have to come back to this because this is starting to be too TypeScripty or JavaScripty for my liking. I need to have a think about what the best approach will be within this card itself. Like that. Like you say, that shouldn't be needed because it should refresh those page props. But maybe this check isn't doing what I want. Search element. Whether an array includes a certain value amongst its entries, returning true or false as appropriate. The value to search for. I'm pretty sure includes is the best approach because the enrollments comes back as an array of objects, which will give us that, which will do the check for us, but it's being a thing. Okay, so this should return a Boolean. Make sure that's in there. Make that async and then tell it to wait. At least I know I can do that. Micro improvements while I figure out what the devil I'm doing. Can't read property of undefined view. What? Okay, so that must be something to do that. Await. Yes, it is. Okay. You should interact with it like a repository pattern. The card shouldn't update the data store. No. The card should just be displaying this, right? Let's drop down. I can probably go ahead and remove now. So let's go to this separator and drop down menu and just remove all of that because it's not actually needed, which means I can clean this up while I try and figure other stuff out. So get rid of that and this plus icon. All good. Enroll in this course. We're going to look at the display stuff. So setup. Come down to here. Let's just inspect that again and come back to view. Let's see if we can see this component card. So here's a course enrolled is false. Page is reactive. So if page is reactive, I should just be able to say that, hopefully. Yeah, I might look at using some like Pinio within this to make it a little bit easier and cleaner. It might just work out better. But for now, I think I've been going for, what, an hour and a half-ish? Almost 2 hours. Add the user as a prop. We'll see. We shall see. I am going to call it a day there. I'm going to go make a coffee, and we'll pick this up possibly tomorrow. Let's check the calendar. What? I'm not on any tech stand-up. God, that's old. Let's see. I should be okay for tomorrow. Yeah, I've got time tomorrow to do some live streaming. That's and then Friday. Yeah, we got some more live streams than us this week. I'm not going to do any more on this. We're going to pick this up tomorrow. And other than that, stay awesome. And I will catch you all tomorrow. Goodbye.